The rest roll calls.
Call this meeting to order. Please rise for pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Secretary, to the roll call. Shall we? Present. Board correspondence report.
Okay. The Assembly Education Committee has got a couple of bills on their agenda. One that is quite concerning to me is allowing school districts to hire administrator without their licensure.
Yeah.
Are they having, are districts having trouble finding administrators that they would, let that slide? I don't know.
Yeah, I put a call into Kitchens and Jacques with that one. It's like
Yeah,
concerned.
The Senate approves the legislation on the low revenue ceiling. Remember that when you had a referendum and it didn't pass, then you were froze. Whatever that revenue, the student revenue limit was, you froze for that. And so they're trying to eliminate that provision, which I'm in my mind, if the referendum doesn't fail, why would you penalize the school
Right.
district even more
I agree.
with
Yeah.
with less money? So hopefully
That's a good
that
one.
passes. There's also the one on the when you have a referendum, I think we talked about this a few years ago already, putting on the tax statement, you'd have to put down the estimated amount of interest. But if you've got a variable rate, if anybody knows anything about variable rates, that would be a nightmare to figure out. So hopefully that one does not pass. There is a bill that would expand an alternative pathway to FORT for teachers. FORT is that reading test, I guess is quite difficult. It already has an alternative for special ed, but not for the rest of the regular teachers that aren't in special ed. So looking at a different pathway for that. Let's see. You remember when I think about a couple of meetings ago, when Governor Evers did some vetoing and shuffling around, and then he put in revenue limits, an increase in revenue limits for the next 402 years? Okay, so that's going to be a battle right now. I don't know how that's going to end up. It's probably going to be, from what I understand, the GOP is going to vote to override that. The Democrats probably are going to vote to keep it in. It's all going to depend upon if there's some Democrats missing from the vote in order to get that. That's our government working. And also they want to establish requirements for graduation, a half a credit for financial literacy, which I think is a very good idea. We used to do those what we used to call them in the gym, and everybody would come, they'd have their checkbook. Career day, it was career day, and they would search a career and they'd say, okay, I want to do this, and then they'd come by each station and there'd be insurance people there, the bankers there, the car dealers, and you want to buy a car, okay, this is what it's going to cost you. And kids didn't even know how to run a checkbook. So I'm all for that. Let's see what else is going on. Oh, and this has been tossed around forever. Making the school start date before September 1st. But the tourism industry in Wisconsin is quite large, and it's holds a lot of weight. So that's what's kind of stopping it from this before. I mean, I think of Door County, they didn't have these kids before, gone before Labor Day, they would be in a bind. So who knows where that one's going to end up. And then, what else did I have here? Oh, we got the DPI release of figures on the state aids. Algoma got an increase of 16.41%. If you looked at, I didn't look at them all, but that's a nice increase for us. Some people didn't get an increase at all, some people got very little, some people got less than what we had, so I guess we should be thankful for that. The DP also releases student assessment results. It looks that the data shows the highest level of achievement since 2018-19, but we're still not back up to the pandemic level. But we're going in the right direction. And then the last thing I want to talk about here is the State Assembly passed AB 377 related to transgender student athletes. This is going to be a highly controversial issue. They think that if it does pass, the governor will veto it. But let's remember about Title IX and what Title IX was for. Title IX was for giving women's athletes the right to equal opportunity in sports and education, and for anybody that received federal funds. I hesitate. I personally don't think that a transgender female should be playing on a female team just because they're bigger, they're stronger. Someone's going to get hurt. Someone is going to get hurt.
I think WASBA opposed this also, but on the grounds of, WIAA, that there are organizations that are much more involved at looking at all this in detail, and that they felt that WIAA should be, that they should be the ones looking, since that's their whole bailiwick, sports.
Yes.
And that, because otherwise I think, it opens up a lot of controversy.
Men are faster, stronger, bigger. And you think about Title IX and what it does, equal opportunity for women in women's sports, that kind of works against that whole concept of what Title IX.
Yeah.
But it's gonna have to be addressed, and I hope so, I don't know if it's gonna be WIAA or the legislature, but it's gonna have to be addressed.
Right, and a lot of details and a lot of studies, and there has to be a lot more information. But thankfully, it's a wait and see right now.
Yeah, that's all we have.
Questions, comments for Pat? Okay, moving on, board CISA report, Chrissy.
I'm kicking off with the same topic as Pat. Dr. Tim shared her September 25th letter to the senators sharing her opposition to Senate Bill 335, which is about allowing school districts to hire unlicensed superintendents. So definitely want to keep licensed professionals in those positions. And then we had education about Act 20, and I will send Jesse over the cheat sheet that they made available for us, talking about what the districts can do to be proactive and get ready, and then it just shared the services that CISA will be providing to the districts as well. They touched on the fact that DPI has created an early literacy curriculum council, and their timeline from that group is very aggressive to work through all of the Act 20 stuff. The Head Start director at CISA 7 is starting to meet with Kewaunee County leaders, so that's really exciting because we don't have Head Start here in the county, so that would be a great relationship. And then we talked about the different tools that CISA's offer to the school districts, and they just wanted to make sure that our district knew to contact CISA 7 first, even if there's another CISA coming in and trying to win our business. Our local CISA might be able to help us with grant money or at a different cost than another CISA trying to sell us some business. So that was it.
And I think it's important, CISA is getting their voice heard down at the state in terms of some of the different legislation that's being looked at. Every one of us can make calls. I make calls quite frequently. The WASBA site is wonderful. You can get all of the proposed different bills, and we need to make our voices heard, when it comes to things that matter in education. And personally, obviously when I'm making a phone call,
myself, I'm not representing the board. I'm representing my own opinion. But I think, being that we're all on the Board of Education, we're a little bit more aware of what's happening within education. And so when there are bills that applies to, I think it's good to make our voices heard, so. Thank you, Chrissy. Moving on to student representative report. Morgan.
All right, so, homecoming finished up and the sophomores won the Spirit Sick this year, and everyone had a lot of fun at all of the activities. Fall sports is wrapping up. Volleyball was conference champs, the first time since 2017, and they went into their second regional game. Football's record was 5-2. Colton and Grant had the academic all-state team, and then Grant is also the offensive player of the year, and there was 2 students on the all-conference team, honorable mention, 3 students on second team, and 2 students on first team. The cross-country season went good. There was 5 people participating. That's up from 2 last year. And then soccer, they had a hard season, but they won their regional game 6-0. We have a blood drive at school coming up on November 17th. We have 8 students going to an FBLA conference on the 30th and 31st of October. Bowling team and basketball are getting started. The Hollow Brew coffee cart is getting started, and Wolves and Pups are going to a field trip to Luxembourg School District to check out their coffee cart. The Halloween walk is this Saturday. We have a lot of clubs going at the high school to make it inclusive for everyone. We have Spanish Club, Anime Club, Dungeons and Dragons Club, Hope Squad, and FBLA. We have a UW Green Bay representative coming soon, and then there's an opportunity for kids to get involved in the NWTC Fire Protection Tech program. Band concert soon for high school and elementary school. Fall sports awards soon. Pathfinders have been cooking and doing life skills with Miss Balone. They've learned knife safety, made some stir fry, Pop-Tarts. They went apple picking, have been learning cleaning skills and budgeting skills. And I'll be going to an FA conference on November 15th and 16th.
Busy.
Yes.
And a good fall for sports.
Mhm.
We did very, very well. Thank you, Morgan. Any questions for us?
Thank you.
Misconceptions and rumors. I just want to mention in this, again, the misconception that vouchers for private schools, I just want it to be very clear that the voucher dollar amount for private schools is out of the public school budget and therefore is taxpayer money. And it's, this year, it's 314 or something thousand. Last year it was 200,000. This next year, it's projected to be, potentially 400,000 or more, which is a huge chunk of money that the school district can't use, but it has to tax. And so I'm going to be saying this a lot, because people have to understand these dollar amounts are getting pretty crippling for the public school budgets, and people have to understand.
Can I make a comment?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a taxpayer, like all of you are, but I can't run for their school board, or can I go and tell them I don't appreciate what they're teaching? Where you can sit out there and you can make comments and we listen to you. And I think people who are out there and think this is a blessing need to realize that it's not a blessing for the taxpayer. And that's my
Basically, the taxpayer,
personal.
they're trying to support two separate school systems is
Yeah.
what's going on, so.
Okay. Did anyone sign in to speak? Under announcements, again, this Wednesday is our regional, meeting in Green Bay. I know Ann and I are going to the workshop and the meeting.
I'm going to the meeting, but not the workshop.
Okay, you're going to the meeting, and Jesse, you'll be going. In the past, I mean, it is a little disappointing, in the past, we had almost the full board going every year. These are really good, opportunities to learn some things, so, there is, though, I understand that, people have conflicts, but they've been really good, about having online options, and so just, again, for those who cannot, make this Wednesday's, regional meeting, November 1st at 7 PM is, the online, regional meeting. Obviously, if you're not there this Wednesday, you can't vote for the, for the Region 3 kinds of things that are happening, but it would still give you an idea of some of the legislative updates and executive director's report and those kinds of things if you're interested. And then, again, you probably got in the mail, last call for registration for the Fall Legislative Conference. That's Saturday, November 4th in Green Lake. And then all of the stuff that's always available, online through WASBA now through their learning, opportunities. There's lots and lots of different things. So I think we put a fair amount of money into the budget for school board, opportunities, knowing that we have new members. So if you see something that you think appeals to you or you wanna go, we have the money in there for you to go to something, so keep that in mind. And that's it. Moving on, administrative report.
All right, I've just got two items on the agenda for tonight, and they really kind of go hand in hand. The first is to look at the revenue limit worksheet, and then I will go into some detail around the 23-24 budget. So we just had our annual budget hearing prior to this meeting, so much of this information will be what you just heard. So two takeaways we've got. We'll look at that revenue limit worksheet, and then finally the budget. So the revenue limit worksheet is a fillable form that's provided to school districts from DPI. We use this form to calculate the property taxes and what we receive in state general aid. When we're filling these forms in, we look at the 3-year average of what our student FTE is. We input the amount that we are going to be paying out for the vouchers that we get from DPI. And then we look at how much we want to levy for our debt services, which is 38 and 39, and then how much we want to levy for Fund 80, which is community service. So all of these items really impact what the end rate or end result of the revenue limit worksheet will be. And really the purpose of the revenue limit worksheet is to generate the mill rate that we use for the budget year. And so the mill rate is really how much taxpayers pay per $1,000 of their property value towards public school taxes. So an example, if the mill rate for 23-24 was $6.76, the owner of the property would pay, for a $100,000 property, would pay $6,760 in taxes. No, 676, sorry, I added an extra zero. Thank you for correcting me on that, yes. $676.
I would complain about that.
Yes.
Where are those voucher dollars?
Thank you for correcting, I added an extra zero,
That's a good try.
so. Right?
Make a bit money somehow.
Right?
Good job.
Right. All right, so the proposed budget that we put together is a balanced budget. And that's really important, I think, for the board and for the community to really understand. We are not looking to do any short-term borrowing. We are not looking at using our general fund balance for this year's upcoming budget. So, Our general operating or Fund 10, our total revenues for this is about $10,369,433. Total expenditures is the same amount, so it's even. The board is being asked to approve the tax levy tonight of $2,437,437 for the general 10 fund budget. And that again is a action item later on in the meeting. For special education or Fund 27, our total revenues for special ed are $1,782,976. Expenditures are the same. So that includes that transfer that we do every year from general fund to special ed to cover the cost. For our debt services, Fund 38 and 39, total revenues for debt service will be $903,783. Our expenditures for the debt services will be $396,316. So we're asking the board to approve the levy of $802,500 for Fund 39. Again, that's to pay off that existing referendum debt for Fund 39. For Fund 46, which is our capital projects, our fund balance is $226,494. Our revenue that we will be adding is $75,866. That's a transfer, that includes a transfer of $74,366 from our general fund. It also includes that asset of $1,500. So these funds are used for building maintenance projects, basically. There's some stipulations on how often you can pull from Fund 46, and you have to let it mature for 5 years once you create it. We are well beyond that as a district. We do need to update our capital plan, though. So that's something we will be working on this year. For Fund 50, food service, our fund balance is $307,795. Our revenue for food service will be $430,940. With the expenditures will be $462,419. So we'll be using about $31,479 from that fund balance, which is a good thing. And then lastly, for the community fund or Fund 80, the fund balance right now is negative $269,384, and that's because of the purchase of pack of pups that we made last year. The total revenue will be $1,144,000, and the expenditures will be $667,855. So again, we're asking the board to approve the levy for community funds of $705,000. So we need to pay back that purchase of the pack of pups. So some key takeaways from the budget. We need to closely monitor our declining enrollment for that 3-year average. We hope to see our open enrollment in funds continue to increase while the open enrollment out funds decrease. We saw an increase of school vouchers from last year to this year of $102,211. This is last year for our ESSER 3 funds. We have $531,959 left in ESSER 3, which needs to be spent by September of next school year. Property taxes for the general fund are lower this year by $220,812. The overall property tax levy is increasing by $326,128, and the mill rate is dropping by 64 cents. And lastly, again, we have a balanced budget. Any questions for me?
I think it's important when we paid off, we're gonna pay off the debt. I think it's important to remind people that we're paying it off early at a savings to the district of about $400,000 because we're paying less interest because we're paying it off early. So I think people need to keep that in their heads too. So,
That cash defeasance is important.
Okay, any questions? We've been through this recently, so we'll keep moving. Elementary principals report.
Okay, October bright spots. It's definitely been a very, very busy month with odds and ends here and there. Our third grade classes had 2 back-to-back field trips this month. They visited Kinder Farms, Eberts. Our first grade students made applesauce from scratch. I will add also last week, it was either Thursday or Friday, our fourth grade classrooms made some like mini pumpkin pie, or mini apple pies. So that was fun. All of our classrooms at the elementary are participating in a pumpkin decorating contest. So they've been slowly getting those out into the hallway for everybody to see. They'll be voting on that next week. This week, Thursday, is the last day to get those finished. Of course, Halloween is right around the corner. 2 additions that I wanted to share also. This week is Red Ribbon Week, so we have a couple different activities and dress-up days for this week as well. And then as Morgan mentioned, the Halloween walk is being held on Saturday this week. And for K teacher, Mrs. Vandermis is taking the lead on that again. She's doing a fantastic job. The Halloween walk also donated to our golden ticket drawing that we have at the end of every month. So we had 10 students that their names were pulled and they get to attend the Halloween walk free of charge. So that was a really great donation from them, so thank you for them to that. My second item is a huge thank you to the AES PTS. The PTS did some fundraising at the end of last year and raised funds to purchase a Gaga ball pit for the elementary school. So that has been installed. It's very exciting at the elementary school to have that. Students young and old have been using it, so that's been an excellent thing, and we greatly appreciate all of the supports that we've gotten from them on that project, as well as everything else. The PTS is currently doing their soap, suds, and scents fundraiser this month. They're also going to be holding a bake sale during the middle school spectacular band concert coming up. So all those proceeds will go right to the Algoma band and choir programs. So they're kind of expanding their reach a little bit there too. Very grateful for that. And then lastly, staff development and PLC work. So our teachers at the elementary school have been working on Thursdays for about an hour of collaboration time. And we've kind of worked on a bunch of different things. So I thought I would just provide an update on that. We had our first professional development session with Marcy Kuhn from CISA 7. And she is going to be working with our staff 1 hour a month, so 1 Thursday after school a month, all around restorative practices and community circles, and just building that extra bit of community and relationship connection in the classroom before trying to tackle anything else. So we met with her on Thursday. We focused on affective language, like I statements and things like that that we can use with students. Really great feedback from the staff on that for the most part. Specifically just the timing of it. Sometimes when we attend professional development or bring somebody in to work with teachers, it's like for a full day or a half a day, and there's so much information that it's hard to almost take practical things away from it that can be implemented in the classroom. So really great feedback on just that 1 hour burst of learning, 1 or 2 quick takeaways that can be implemented right away the next day. We've also been prioritizing student needs. We have PAW time at the elementary school, which is our intervention time. So it's a time where we take a look at the different needs of students, whether it be academic, behavioral, language, fill in the blank, and we really try to wrap resources around our students during that PAW time. So each grade level has a different PAW time. It's a staggered PAW time so that our specialists and our special ed teachers can be available during that time to help our students. So we've been talking about how to identify students that we want to work with during that time, how can we support them, how can we enrich the learning experience for students that maybe don't need an intervention during that time. So we've been talking a lot about that. And then grade levels have also been working on different collaboration areas that they've self-identified. So 4K and kindergarten have been talking about letter formation and handwriting. Fifth and sixth grade have been talking about executive functioning and how to help their kids be more organized. So it's really been a very helpful, productive time for us during that Thursday Dixie time. So, any questions?
Just a quick one on the
Yeah.
Halloween walk.
Yes.
Do you know what the hours and the charges are for
I
that?
do not, I could look it up quick.
It starts at 9 a.m., it's $6 for
Thank
children.
you.
9 to 11, I think.
Yeah, 9 to 11.
You got this, thank you.
$6 for kids, $3 for adults.
Oh, more for
It's
kids.
Here at the middle school, high school.
Okay, well, it's for kids, yeah.
They get the trick or treat bags and
That's
go
good
home with
point.
all the kids.
Yep, they do. All right, thank you. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Chrissy.
I'll be here.
Any other questions? Thank you. We will move on. Middle school, high school principal report, Dave.
All right, well, Morgan stole some of my thunder, so we'll skip through some of the things that she talked about, but I do want to highlight some of the field trips that are going on, just highlight the value of field trips in general to our students' education. Not only are they excited to go out and see some of these things, but the tying in the learning to these experiences has been really good. Some examples, there are sophomores going up to manufacturing days in Door County where they toured a lot of the trades, tool and die shops, I don't think they're called that anymore, but shops that manufacture metal parts, plastic parts, Bernard's cheese. It was a pretty good list of different companies that were represented there, and students got to interact with either owners and or workers and ask them questions about, okay, how did you get into this career? What path did you need to follow? And then one of the nice things that happened this year is the businesses actually put out a sheet, an information sheet, that listed what opportunities are going to be available this year and then next year. So students could actually see what jobs they might be able to apply for and then tour those facilities. So that was a great experience. Our middle school ELA classes have been going out to some of the where some of our older residents live. They've been to Sycamore Lodge and Autumn's Journey and interviewed those residents, asking them about specific memories they might have, and it's tied back to a book that they're reading, and then they're doing some writing based on those interviews. What was neat is when the interviews were concluded, you would see then the students interacting, playing board games and things like that. So there were some really positive interactions that took place between students and some of our older generation here in the community. Mrs. Bauman's classes toured an upstart here in Algoma, Steel Belly Barbecue. Some of you may be aware of that business. The owner came in and spoke to the students, and then also they were able to go and tour the space. So they learned about that specific business, but then also what does it take to start a business and how to become an entrepreneur. We had Mrs. Shallow come in and talk to them about city finances. How does a city operate? What do those finances look like? So it was kind of a nice resource to have. Coming up, our middle schoolers will be going to the KI Convention Center to an event called Find Your Inspiration. And it's a place that's just loaded full of, again, businesses, careers, and students get to interact, do interactive displays in the medical field, in construction, engineering. I can't think of them all, but it's quite an event. And learn more again about what sparks their interest. What are they interested in learning? One of the interesting notes there is they're not allowed to ask, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? That's banned language. They have to ask, what is it that sparks your interest, or what is it that sparks your imagination? So that's coming up on November 8th. I'm going to skip athletics update. Morgan really covered that quite well. We are so happy to have our school counselor, Mrs. Schmidt, back from mature. I am so happy to have Mrs. Schmidt back in the building. She has been doing just an incredible job of building relationships with students. There's been several interactions where I just want to get right down to business, and she is very good about making sure she establishes a relationship with those students before she moves into the business part of doing school, and I really appreciate that about her. And I also appreciate that she's taking the load off of me with planning schedules, working on some of the career counseling, dealing with scholarships, checking in with students. It's been great to have her in our pupil services meetings. Her perspective is really, really wonderful. I am so excited to see how far and how well she's going to develop as she gets more and more comfortable in this role, because she's off to a great start. So I want to just plug that. Student engagement, been very impressed again with this year with how students, or how classroom teachers are trying to find ways to engage students in learning. And if you check out our Facebook page, you'll see some pictures and some explanations of how that's working. It's varied, it depends on the subject, but if you go, really come in any day and go around to some of these classes, the activities that the teachers are involved in are really interesting. Yes, there's still some sit and get that has to take place, there's still skills and drills and things like that that are taking place, but the evolution of teaching in the classroom to me is very impressive, and how I see teachers working to continually collaborate together, and then also innovate on their own to bring engagement to our kids. This includes community service projects, community groups, art projects, field trips, research projects, food truck simulations, things like that are all some of the things that have been going on. And then finally, just I had a couple of interactions since we last met with some of our alumni, and I think it's important to remember that our interactions here last well beyond the 4 years or the 6 years they spend in middle school, high school. I had one student text back. They were having a conversation. They're at a 4-year university, freshmen. They're having some conversation with their college professors about what their education looked like. And this student realized that, he said, quote, "I can't imagine a better educational experience than the one I had in Algoma," and was just grateful for the way that Algoma School District prepared him to be successful at college. Another one was just in conversation at a volleyball match, actually in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. We won. So anyway, so we were having a conversation, and this parent was so grateful, had 2 very close relatives that had started college this year, and was so grateful for the number of credits that they had been able to earn at the Algoma School District. In fact, for one, it brought up a strange and wonderful problem of he had so many credits that he had to declare a major already when he got there, because he was already a sophomore or a junior level when he entered with the college credits. So that's just something that Algoma gets right, and I think it's important to point that out. And that's it for me.
Great. Questions for Dave? All right, thank you. We'll move on. Katie, Pathfinder, Venture Academy, and Pops Childcare.
So I have ABAs, so we have 2 students who are throwing a trunk or treat for the elementary school. They have 6 different trunks that will be decorated in different Disney movie themes. We're gonna hold it in the courtyard if the weather holds out. They're really excited because every classroom signed up for a slot for trunk or treat, which was awesome, because we didn't see that happening, but they've got some team members that they are stealing some of their cars, and others are stealing Mr. Brinkman's car. And then they assign tasks to all of the other ABA students, so some are dressing up, some are going to be handing out the candy. So it's been a really cool experience for both the students who are running it and the other kids who are being voluntold that they're going to be part of the project as well. So that'll be October 30th. There'll be tons of candy to hand out, so if they go to the Halloween walk and the trunk or treat, parents are going to be, not so grateful. Costa Rica trip, so the spring of 2025, we are planning a trip to Costa Rica to go visit our student who is currently living down there. So I think there's 12 kids that are signed up right now, and we obviously have to start planning now. There's some prerequisites that these students have to have in order to go on the trip. So the ones that are planning on going are going to have to take Spanish this year and next year. They have to plan 2 fundraisers this year and a fundraiser next year to help with the cost, because it is not covering the cost, it'll be on the students. So their first fundraiser is a week from Saturday. They're putting on a flag football tournament for the team. There's kids that have to pay to be on teams. I think we have like 4 teams registered already, but they sent it out to some other schools too, so it could be some interesting rival competition. They're also having a hot dog eating contest that day, which a lot of the kids are pretty pumped for. Providing the pails, because I'm sure there will be plenty of pukers for that, but They've got, I think Solomons is donating things for that, so that should be really fun and interesting. They wanted me to ref, and I'm like, if there's gonna be other schools there, we're gonna have to get some professional refs, so they asked some of the dads in ABA to come help out with that. One thing that's not on here, so, Katie had talked about the first grade making applesauce. That was with Miss Shartner. She had reached out to me to see if she could come to ABA and do it with our ABA students. So I thought, sure, great, find a nanny. She said, well, I need to find a sub for my kids. And I was like, no, you don't, bring your kids with. So it was really fun, like, flop. So she got to take the ABA students in small groups, and the ABA kids, took her kids for 3 hours and planned activities for the first grade students. And I think they got a real eye-opening experience with how crazy first graders can be. But they planned some really cool activities, and it was a good experience for everybody. So we thank Mrs. Shartner for that. And I think this will be some really, I think we're planning on going down there now to her classroom as like another flip-flop. We're planning activities for our kids down there. So Pathfinder, thank you to Barb. So Morgan talked about the kids picking apples. Well, she didn't mention that they were at Barb's house. So Barb invited the Pathfinder kids over to pick apples from her trees.
It was a
And
blast.
they had a lot of fun.
Their characters.
They're
Yeah,
hilarious.
they got very creative in terms of getting some of the higher apples. I think somebody was on someone's shoulders, a piggyback, you know. All very safely done, but no, nice kids. And yes, we had bountiful crops this year, so I'm glad we could share.
Yeah, so they've been making a ton of different things with the apples that they picked at Barb's house. And they also, last Friday, went to the NWTC preview day, which was really a great experience for them. I got lots of cool pictures back from that. And then Pack of Pups, and the update I really have is Youngstar came today as a pre-observation. So Youngstar is a rating system. It rates childcare as a 1 through 5, depending on what level of programming they have. So I had asked them to come in before their big day that they're coming in to do the rating, because I just wanted to see, like, what are you looking for, what are we missing? And so that the lady that came in was really super helpful and has a ton of resources for us in all areas of the childcare. So they'll be coming back in December to do the rating system.
Yeah, everyone's busy. I love to hear the stories when older students are interacting with younger students at any level. I just think that's always been so beneficial for both sides, always.
Our kids were exhausted by the time the third graders left, or the first graders, sorry. Yeah.
Any other questions for her?
Where can the kids, or where is that located for the sign up for football? Is that out, or like ages and all that?
It's middle school and high school, but yeah, there's like posters around school, and I
Okay.
think we put it on our ABA Facebook page.
Were you hoping to play?
Well, a hot dog eating contest.
Ah.
Yes, you sit
By
down.
all means, oh, it's gonna be like how they do it in New York. Time. Cups of water. Disgusting.
Okay, moving on. Special Ed Wellness Report, Marie.
Yeah, so our playground communication board arrived, which is super exciting. I don't know if you remember, but back in spring, I had a former student, before my time, reach out saying, hey, I have a son with autism. Special education is near and dear to my heart. I want to give back. What is a dream project that you have? I want to help support this. So I reached out to the team, and Ashley Brown, one of our speech language pathologists, said, how cool would it be to have a communication board for a playground? So we kind of went back and forth, and he loved the idea and donated $2,500 for a beautiful communication board, which Ashley worked really hard to design so that it was inclusive for not only our students that use communication devices, but it is both in Spanish and in English, so for EL students, just to have access and awareness, and just an overall really exciting thing for our district. So I'm excited that it's arrived. Yeah. I am also super excited that we have 2 brand new paraprofessionals on our team that joined us in this last month. They are sisters, Jamie and Erin Hartle, and they have been absolutely amazing, and I am incredibly grateful for their hard work. They just really have dove right in, and they're super passionate and have been doing an amazing job. And also today we welcome back Logan Rankin, who is out on maternity leave. We are fully staffed at the elementary school at our special education department. I may have had a smile on my face. But yeah, just really excited to have them on our team. And then as Morgan, I feel like we all refer back to Morgan, but she brought up the Howl Brew coffee cart that will be starting up. One of the students in ABA, Berkeley Van Lannen, is partnering with Miss Young, or Mrs. Young, one of our special ed teachers, and Berkeley's interested in becoming a special ed teacher, so she's going to be working with some special ed students to run a coffee cart, probably maybe once a week. I'm not quite sure what they're doing. They sent out a survey recently, and they're super excited to get that started. That's really all I have for today.
Sounds good. Congratulations for having the slots filled. Yeah. Just in time to relax for the holidays, right? All right, moving on to committee reports. Community Advisory Committee meetings from September 18th and September 28th.
The one at the 18th, I was not there, I was a little bit under the weather, but it looks like, there were a lot of questions asked, people were able to, get those answered. The one on the 28th, I think it's Kevin from Baird. He did such a phenomenal job of explaining school finance. I mean, in a nutshell, it was amazing. He answered a lot of questions for a lot of people. We did the survey. People filled out their survey, what their priorities were. I was a little surprised at some of them, but not all of them. It was a very good meeting. It was very informative. He explained why districts really need to have debt. It sounds odd, but districts really need to have some debt. And he was really good about explaining that, and the difference between city finance and, because we had a member there from the city council, the difference between city finance and school finance. I think that was an eye-opener for a lot of people, so that was a good meeting.
All right, any of the other members want to add anything on to that report? Okay. And then Finance Committee meeting on October 12th. Back to you again.
We met with Finance Committee, we went through the budget, Amber was there, her and I can't think of her name. Allison, yes, I was gonna say Massey, but I can't say that. Did a great job. We talked a little bit about the existing debt to be paid off, and that would allow for a referendum. Hopefully that with the intent is the referendum would have no change to the tax levy amount. Might change the mill rate a little bit, but not much, might even go down a bit, but we're very responsible, we want to keep that at a steady rate. We talked a little bit about the vouchers. I think we put in, 314,000 this year. I expect that to probably, from what I've seen, from one of the voucher schools, the only voucher school in town, I expect that to probably go up next year, probably by, as a minimum of 100,000. So I'm looking at 400, 425 for that figure to be next year. So we'll have to see how that all turns out. So.
Okay. And then the Policy and Practice Committee meeting. We met, Chrissy got to get her introduction to our policies. We reviewed 50 policies, some new, some revised. Something new for us was that there were some that were rescinded, and basically that seemed very odd, but basically what it turned out is that
if you've noticed in all of the policies we've been going through for the last year, there were so many that, okay, this is the policy that applies to staff, and then they repeated it again, you know, teaching staff, and they repeated it again for support staff. So basically, the rescinded policies just, they finally realized that they could consolidate and not repeat over and over and over again. So that's all those are. And then there were some that had no changes. We did table one that, that applied to our, SRO, and I don't know if, I mean, I think Jesse's got more information, but, we'll bring that back at another time. So we're moving along, we're actually very close to being able to actually dive into our, handbook, which is the next big challenge, so. And any other items for discussion? We have none listed in the agenda. Okay, moving right on to action items. I need a motion to approve the regular board meeting minutes of September 25th, 2023, the Community Advisor Committee meeting minutes of September 18th, 2023, the Community Advisory Committee meeting minutes of September 28th, 2023, the Finance Committee meeting on October 12th, 2023, and the Policy and Practice Committee meeting on October 13th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by Lonnie, seconded by Chrissy. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the bills that have been presented to us.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Pat, seconded by Chris Benish. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. All right. I believe that the next, from 3 to 6, are going to be roll call votes. So we did tentative approval in our budget hearing, so these will be the approval at the board meeting. So I need a motion to approve the final budget 2023-24 school year.
Also move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Chris Schley. Roll call vote, Lonnie.
Yes.
Yes. Chris?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Yes.
Spanish. I also say yes. Motion carries. I need a motion for the approval of tax levy for Fund 10 in the amount of $2,457,437.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Pat, seconded by Chrissy. Roll call vote, Lonnie.
Yes.
Chrissy.
Yes.
Chris Schley.
Yes.
Yes.
And Pat.
Yes.
Chris
Yes.
Benish. And I also say yes. Motion carries. I need a motion for approval of the tax levy for the capital project sinking Fund 39 in the amount of $802,500.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion made by Chris Schley, seconded by Chrissy. Roll call vote, Lonnie.
Yes.
Yes.
Chrissy.
Yes.
Chris Schley.
Yes.
Ann.
Yes.
Pat.
Yes.
Spanish, and I also say yes. And I need a motion for the approval of the tax levy for the Community Services Fund 80 in the amount of $705,000.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Pat, seconded by Chris Benish. Roll call vote, Chris?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Ann?
Yes.
Chris
Yes.
Schley?
Yes.
Chrissy?
Yes.
Lonnie? I also say yes. All right. I need a motion to approve Nicolay Bank Wealth Management as the vehicle for the school district fund balance.
So move.
Motion made by Pat, do I hear a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Chris Schley. Questions or discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, this is a resolution, so I believe I have to read it. Resolution authorizing the American Deposit Management Company as designated depository for district funds. Whereas Algoma School District, the district may deposit funds in one or more banks as outlined by the district's investment policy. And whereas the district desires to designate American Deposit Management Company of Pewaukee, Wisconsin as authorized depository for district funds, and whereas American Deposit Management Company is a qualified depository for the purposes of the deposit of public funds, now therefore be it resolved that the finance manager, title of authorized person, for and on behalf of the district, authorizes the deposit and withdrawal of monies with American Deposit Management Company in both non-interest-bearing or interest-bearing accounts in compliance with district investment policy regulations. Be it further resolved that the following officers, employees, or their successors are authorized to order the deposit or withdrawal of monies with American Deposit Management Company until this authority is revoked by action of the district and written notice of such action is received by American Deposit Management Company. The authorized people are Finance Manager Amber J. Shallow, Human Resources Accounting Allison Denise, and Superintendent Jesse Brinkman. Now, I need a motion to approve the resolution to grant Amber Shallow, Finance Manager, access to the American Deposit Management accounts for the Algoma School District.
I'll move.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Ann, seconded by Chris Benish. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the addendum to an additional half-day or equivalent to 4 hours a week of speech and language services with the Kiwanee School District to the existing contract.
So move.
I'll second.
Motion by Pat, is you Chris? Seconded by Chris. Questions or discussion?
Never thought we'd be in this position.
I know, it's lovely. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, I need a motion to approve the revised Neola policies 0.142.1, 0143.1, 0144.3, 1260, 1421, 1630.01, 2340, 2521, 3121, 3139, 3430.01, 4121, 4139, 4430.01, 5113, 5200, 5350, 5530, 6151, 6610, 8310, 8500, and 8700.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Chrissy, seconded by Pat, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. I need a motion to approve the new Neola policies, 0164, 5505, 6236, 7250.01, 7440.02, 7540.08, and 8121.
So
I'll
moved.
move, go ahead.
Motion made by Chris Benish, seconded by Ann. These were included in your packet. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the rescinded Neola policies, 0164.1, 0164.2, 0165.1, 0165.2, 1623, 3120.7, 3123, 4123, 4430.05, 5250, and 9210.
So moved.
Motion
Second.
made by Chrissy, seconded by Chris Benish. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And finally, I need a motion to approve Neola policies with no changes. 2451, 5214, 5517, 8146, 8420, 8531, 8913, and 9211.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Chris Sly. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Any requests for future agenda items?
No request, but before this meeting ends, my sister and I would personally like to thank Mr. Benish for fixing that popcorn machine. Popcorn Friday was a breeze, there was no more yardstick propping up the kettle. He cleaned it, it's amazing.
Yay.
Yes. So
right.
thank you so much. Your name, your ears weren't ringing on Friday, they should have been, because we were talking about you.
No rescue squad calls for Burns?
All right. Hearing no requests, we'll move into executive session. A motion to go into executive session under Wisconsin statute 19.85, subsection 1CE at 9 for the purpose of personnel matters, hire, staff, and resignations.
So moved. Second.
Made by Lonnie, seconded by Chris Benish. Roll call vote, Chris?
Yes.
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
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 All right.